Welcome back to the UKLC. I'm still Viper and still joined by Jamada. We're going into our second game of the evening. Bulldog going up against Resolve Academy. And Jamada, I was going to say, like last game, you kind of have a favorite for this one, but it's just been upset central in the UKLC the past couple of days.
Yeah, it has been. It feels like upsets in general, kind of around the world, everywhere. You know, there was the crazy LCS day. LEC also had a bunch. NLC had its full day practically, and now UKLC is having its fair stint. Yeah, I mean, how many upsets can one have in one day, right?
I don't know what it is.
You know, can we get the full set? We'll have to see. You know, again, I feel like this Bulldog roster, and I've said it since the start of the split, I'll say it again here. Individually, incredibly talented. There is no doubt about that. But it just seems like, you know, finding the gears to be consistent hasn't necessarily been the thing for them. They've not been able to, you know, maybe feel out each other in terms of being able to, you know, find a playstyle that works for them. Finding, you know, a consistent way to allocate resources onto particular people. So unfortunately for them, it's just not been the case that we get to see, you know, this potentially what could have been from the start a very strong looking top four, you know, even top three, top two team out Bulldog. Now, drafts gone through really quickly. Akali, Lucian, Ziggs banned away from Resolve Academy. Bulldog, Esports have removed away a lot of pretty common red side bans in the Zinzao, Nocturne, and Karma, which has resulted in this Diana first pick from Resolve, and over to Bulldog to see what they want to respond with, because, you know, things like the Thresh plus Aphelios up, if they want to go, you know, Thresh to save the Aphelios for later, because we've seen a couple of counters come out. Something like the Viego can also fit in that first rotation as well.
Gwen's also up on the map, so could be looking to get the two new champs coming on and through, but we just saw how much work Diana can do. You're not just having a very, very strong performance on that one from Vision last game, so we'll have to see if Bakoko or Bakako. I get consistently shouted at for pronouncing this guy's name wrong. I'm really sorry, but it's going to be the Fresh coming on through. My pronunciation skills do not exist, essentially, and we're going to see the Lee Sin instant response for Resolve. Not likely to go into the jungle, but could go either solo lane. Nautilus, on the other hand, probably going down bot.
Yeah, likely going down bot, and let's see if Jacob wants to go for this Aphelios option. The Ziggs is removed away. It's typically what we see with Thresh. Obviously, we do see a couple of other hyper carries, things perhaps like the Jinx do slot in there as well. But yeah, as kind of expected, the Aphelios will be locked in. So on the Resolve side, a lot of strong proactivity between the Lee Sin and Nautilus, trying to match some of the aggression that the Viego can have in the early stages. But for now, Bulldog looking pretty good in the draft. I think both teams really pretty happy right now. I think for Bulldog, looking at trying to round out with a front line, a little more utility. For Resolve, realistically just trying to respond. And yeah, I like what Bulldog are doing, removing away aggressive options into the Aphelios. I wouldn't be too surprised to also see this Kalista ban followed up with a Varus. Now let's see what Resolve want to do.
I mean, it does leave stuff like the Ezreal available, which is a champ that has been around about, you know, doing the rounds in comp for quite some time. For Resolve Academy, if that's what they want to go for. The Silas not going to be an option for Bulldog. Of course, they're still looking for... The VA could go jungle, could go into a solo lane, so we're not exactly sure where this man will lie, but has a couple of options. Set being removed away, very, very strong with Diana, not giving Kemruto that option.
Yeah, so they also not really feeling like locking it in themselves, perhaps, with Renekton up a little bit scared to do that. Renekton actually an option for Resolve if they want to take it. Bulldog themselves, if they want to chuck the Viego into a solo lane, definitely an option. Or if they just want to have Thomas go on a mage, can work still. Definitely a pick that's on the forefront of my mind. That could be pretty good here for either side. But Tanker Romania going to lock in Ornn. Not too surprised from Coke past the main here. Very standard. We said we wanted frontline, we wanted a little bit of utility. Ornn hands out both.
It's back to the Forge. Simple as. Not going to be playing anything too hyper aggressive up top, of course. Ornn could technically rotate mid. It could be in Thomas Go's hands, but Thomas Go ain't an Ornn player. That ain't... Unlikely. I would be shocked and appalled if that's the direction that Bulldog decided to go in. It will be the Ezreal being picked up for Meiku down bot alongside the Nautilus. You seem a little bit maybe surprised by that?
No, I think it makes sense with the context of, you know, the Ornn coming in. You want a little bit of self-pill for yourself to deal with that engage, because right now it is kind of between the Ornn and whenever Aphelios has the Gravitum to find some of these engages. Ezreal relatively good at dodging away from those, so it does make sense. And the Rise would be pretty interesting. It's not a pick we get to see too often. Could certainly fit well into the likes of something like Lee Sin to match some of the side lane pressure, but let's see what Tomsko wants to go with. Let's flick back to it. Will he lock it in?
Leah Thomas goes
Looks like he will.
champion.
Pretty exciting. Now, I think Rise, surprisingly, you know, there's a lot of emphasis on the scaling aspects of Rise, right? Because, well, he scales like a monster. But at least in competitive, for me, it's all about how you use these early game realm warps. He's sort of like a baby Twisted Fate in a way, where, for me, how much value you can get out of these realm warps to attack the side lanes is honestly a lot of the value that you get out of this Rise pick in the early game. And honestly, relatively strong setup on both sides of the map here. You've got the Fresh Felios on one side, you've got the Ornn, who obviously, you know, you've got the Ornn ultimate plus the knockup itself. Then of course, if Viego's there too, makes diving the Gnar a relatively easy job. So Bulldog, a lot of proactivity tools there for me, which they can certainly make work. And I look over to Resolve and I say, okay, you are typically the team that is more aggressive in the early game in comparison to a lot of the other teams because you understand your win conditions. And typically, that means if they've got one lane, which they know they can play aggressively through, they will do that. And in this case, it is kind of the Lee Sin, but I want to see exactly how Resolve pilot this one out, because I think, you know, on paper, you remove the nameplates, I'll be favoring Bulldog's draft.
That is interesting. And I mean, even with nameplates on, Bulldog, as you said yourself, very, very capable across the board. They've got very, very talented players. I was talking to Reclamation a little bit, a coach from, he's been all over the shop. He's coached in a lot of different places. And he was saying, yeah, this Bulldog roster should be much higher than they actually are in terms of where they are. And it's kind of why he described them as being a little bit, maybe one of the most disappointing teams in the league in his eyes, just because he wanted to see them fighting for playoffs, fighting for that third, fourth place position.
For me, even, you know, even though the strength of Eminem was relatively apparent, and then, you know, I think Resolve Academy were never going to put together a poor team. It's just, we didn't know where the ceiling was because realistically, the roster was built for UKEL. No one expected it to come into the UKLC and then still smash. So, yeah, I agree with Reclamation's viewpoint. This roster should be like a solid top 4 with the likes of this London roster, with Eminem, and with, now that we found out about them, Resolve. So it's certainly surprising to see them still struggle. They've been more in the relegation conversation than anything else. So yeah, I want to see them step up, because you've got names like Jacob played in the EBL, Thomas Go, you know, locally. Whilst he's not found the best results all of the time, individually, this guy plays out of his mind, it feels like, just about every other game. Of course, Lulas, Copas Main, both individually very, very strong. Relatively storied as well.
It's definitely a case of the sum of the parts being stronger than the whole for Bulldog so far this season. They need to start turning those performances individually into performances as a team as we do move on to the Rift for our second game of the evening. Resolve Academy on the blue side, Bulldog on the red. And Resolve Academy, you said that you didn't like their draft quite as much, and they need to be careful because right now teams at the top of the table are dropping like flies. And
look. Will, I didn't say I didn't like it.
No, you said
just
you liked Bulldog's drafts more.
Okay, yeah. There we go. So we're clear. There's no
intrinsically. So intrinsically, Resolve's draft is your least favorite in this game.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
So, take from that. I wasn't saying Jamada. This is the headline. Jamada hates Resolve Academy's draft.
It's a bit of a draft chasm going on here, guys. You might want to pack it up and send it home. No, I do definitely potentially worry for the scaling side of things, though. For Resolve, there's a lot of scaling on the Bulldog side. Rise, Felios, even Viego technically scales kind of crazily. They are propped up by the Ornn and Thresh as well. And Resolve, when you think about, you know, the definition of scaling, I mean, you look towards Ezreal, Diana scales pretty good too. Other than that, Lee Sin eventually turns into more of a utility champion, and Gnar more sort of a frontline CC bot. So I say I feel like the execution has to be there for Resolve. Talking about nameplates being off, but we've seen Resolve, honestly, even if, you know, drafts haven't been per se favorable, they still dominated the games.
While we're here, can we talk about Regan for a little bit? Are we allowed to do that? Is that maximally allowed to?
I'll do it.
We talk about... Cool. Nice. So, Regan came in to replace FGG, all hail, the Rakan King. And he's we kind of were not entirely sure what to make. We were all pretty much in the same boat of Regan's really good at League of Legends, should have probably been on a roster from the start. How is he going to be able to mesh in with this Resolve Academy roster, who were pretty reliant on FGG for a lot of their early game cross-map play? And the answer is, yeah, pretty well, you know? Regan definitely proving why teams made a mistake not picking him up initially.
Yeah.
Proving a lot of the doubters wrong who maybe said that he didn't deserve to be on a UKLC roster going into this split, which were rare, but certainly there. And do you expect to see him stepping up as we move towards stuff like playoffs, especially when this Resolve team across the board has maybe looked a little bit weaker in the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Regan, sort of knowing him on a personal level, likely to be very hungry to get the results on the board, especially in the context of, you know, being left out from UKLC rosters. Being given the opportunity to join what is looking like, you know, strongest top 2 roster in the league halfway through, to then go on to fill the shoes of, you know, admittedly a rookie, but a very impressive one in FGG. Is Tomsko going to eat this gank?
I think he should be okay. They will be able to walk away. Has phase rush, so can sprint his way under tower. No summoners even needs to be burned.
Yeah, no summoners need to be burned, but yeah, certainly looking to prove the doubters or anything along those lines wrong, as so far I feel like he's done that, even though I think Resolve 1-1 since Regan's arrival, or maybe it's 2-1, I'm actually not too sure. Performances across the board, very, very strong from Regan. Seems to be fitting the role that FGG did, at least at face value on the Rift, pretty much identically.
Definitely. Maybe playing a slightly different style of champion this time around on the Nautilus. So could look to make some plays happen across the map. And looking at this top side, let's just touch it because it's Noah versus Ornn. It's unlikely we're going to be expecting too much action up here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Noah versus Ornn. It's a farm lane. If anyone dies, it's normally at the fault of, you know, the other party. So yeah, I mean, in mini Gnar, I will say relatively squishy and actually is not running any MR runes. Obviously, Ornn primarily deals magic damage. So if Kenryu does make a misstep, Kobas main does have summon a spellbook. So if he's got something like the Ignite, Barrier, Exhaust, something like that, an aggressive summon a spell, the 1v1 can definitely be in his favor. Now Regan attacking the mid lane.
Yeah, looking to make one of these roams work, and it's going to burn the flash. A little bit of return damage onto Otto, but he's not really going to care as he steps away. But good early aggression coming through from this Resolve Academy roster, and the next gank should be easier.
Yeah, should be easier. Rise and a mobile target without his flash, so lockdown skill shots a hit typically results in a kill in the early game. I'll look to Bulldog to say, how exactly are you going to keep him safe in these early stages? Because the vision hasn't really been there for large portions. As Kenryu steps forward, ulted the wave actually.
This is, yeah, he's going to be able to walk away. You've got to imagine the ult coming through, flashing down, but a decent amount of damage coming through from the Brittle stack. Gets the stun, gets the boulder, might not be able to get away. And Mini, though, goes down for first blood as Coates will go down to tower. It will be Diana securing the kill credit on that one. But yeah, we said there wasn't going to be that much action, but a mistake was made and it was capitalized on.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to call it a mistake from Kenryu because I feel like Coates kind of just cheesed him. He just sat in the bush. Kenryu assumed, all right, I guess he's recalled. Uses the ultimate because this one's such a low cooldown to clear out the way for lane priority or just a better tempo on the base. And then all of a sudden, the orange comes out of the bush. So, yeah, ends up being a 1-for-1. It's Bakako that secures the kill onto Kobas main, so he's going to feel pretty happy about that. And we saw what Diana's can do as, oh, looking for this gank, kick flash.
Really nice insect through, and Thomas Go goes down. It will be Bakako securing his second kill of the game, but that kill was all about Otter.
Yep, Otter with the spectacular setup there for Bakako to run in. Secure that one, and Thomas Go punished, no flash, blown by Regan in the previous gank. A lot of focus from Resolve there as, oh, Meku hits East as well.
Coming down, really nice, and Regan diving on forward. Meku goes low. Will Scout is on top of him. Can Fresh get the damage down? The teleport coming through into the middle, and Fresh actually has to back away, rooted up, taken low. Otter can't find the damage off the back of the teleport. Looking for the resonating, won't be able to find it. Does manage to flash away. Decent damage coming through, and Will the Scout goes down, but Lula's on the side gets one. Looking for the reset now on Nautilus. Has the CC available, looking towards the edge drill, but the edge flash. Meku makes the escape. Very, very clean from Resolve bot lane. It'll be a 1-for-1 trade in the end.
I Can't lie, Resolve kind of lucky to walk out of that one without losing more. Lulus misses the hook, shifted away from or flashed away from, rather, and it seems like on the top side, Kenruto and Ko went for a dive on 2 Ko plus main. Wasn't too successful. We'll back away from that one. Well, actually, no. Oh, okay. I was going to say it looks like they blew the flash, but it's just the way that Summoner Spellbook works on the HUD, so I'll take that claim back, because now it's Will the Scout who's going to pay a visit to the mid lane.
Not an option, but Regan hits the hook. Nice flare away, means that there's no auto-attack follow-up. And Bulldog will be able to move back, but blow for blow, support for support. They're following each other around the map right now.
Yeah, and I love the immediate flash aggression from Regan. He's like, what? You're ganking my mid laner? But Flay was good from Will the Scout to make sure that auto-attack didn't come down. And look at the damage in return onto Jacob. MyQ, it's basically support versus AD on both sides. But Will the Scout doesn't have the damage to finish up. Unfortunately, the Resonating Strike misses, but it still forces Jacob to flash. Hook for hook again underneath the tower. Will the Scout drops, but here's Lulus with the reset. Almost could have come through, but now Regan,
we got a team
recipient of this.
Called out by the ultimate, will go down. It's Thomas goes securing the easy pickup. Too many members of Bulldog in the neighborhood. No one from Resolve.
Yeah, Resolve didn't quite have the numbers there quick enough. It looked like, I think Resolve opened up through the top side, whereas Bulldog opened up through the bottom side. However, Regan maybe didn't get the memo. Unsure, ends up in a unfortunate position. Drops either way. It's going to be the Herald for Bulldog, most likely, unless Bakako still wants to contest. And I mean, it's got Moonfall. Or can move over as well. And Regan has actually returned back over. They might fight after the fact.
Yeah, the objective already been secured, but nice kick back. It's gonna be the Viego caught out, but Otter goes down for his troubles. Will they be able to get a revenge kill? Yes, they will. That's a long boomerang, and that's the second coming on through. Double kill going over onto Kenruto as Resolve turn the play around, but the Rift Herald is in the pocket of Bulldog.
Yeah, Bulldog do get the Herald, but they lose 2 kills for it, so already they're gonna have to trade one way or another. Will the Scout in trouble? Hook, oh, blocked by a minion. I think it still would have missed from Will the Scout either way. But Coates on the bottom side will take some plates as well. So, you know, about 300, I am pretty sure Coat got both of these plates. Or he will secure that second plate on the next wave at the very least anyway. So about even once that Herald comes into play.
Where are we putting the Herald then, Jamada?
Where are we dropping Herald? I mean, you know, you look at the Aphelios, you normally say, all right, well, I guess it's got to be him. But putting it into Rise, not a terrible idea either. Coates will finally get the that plate there. Still finds himself down in gold to his counterpart, but more because his counterpart picked up 2 kills, so can't really complain too much. But where there really is a gold gap, definitely the junglers, 1,000 basically between Bakako and Ludus right now. Ludus hasn't been able to find much early game impact on this Viego thus far. Of course, Viego, a champion, a little bit notorious for turning games on his head. So I feel like a lot of teams get a little bit disrespectful of Viego, forget that he's there. If they don't burst him and he finds a resell on somebody, it's very, very powerful to just kind of get the ultimate cycle through time and time again.
And it's been a reasonably active game, I guess is the best way of saying it. Both
yeah, I mean, 9 kills. Yeah, 9 kills in 11 minutes isn't slow.
No, absolutely not.
It does feel like the plays are happening in
bursts.
Almost.
Yeah, it's not been all action all the time,
no.
But it hasn't been, why isn't anything happening, Jamada, help, I'm tired, kind of thing. Which is always, you know, it's a good line to draw. In League of Legends, you want there to be bursts of action with enough time for the analysts to make stunning, insightful points, or whatever you're making. As Kenruto will be caught out with the death sentence damage going through. The Rat will be taken out. It's going to be the shutdown going over onto Viego, and the Gnar will hop on for a second longer in the hands of Viego.
He's got the Rift Herald too. Plates can go down, and I mean, into Viego plus this Aphelios. Not bad at all. Going to burn through this tower. Jacob, unfortunately for himself, just cycled through the kill tower's weapons, but still, no one's on this side of the map to contest from a Resolve end. Will be a trade of the Dragon though, and maybe a mid plate or two goes down. See if they want to try and attack a side lane, because Resolve typically one of the teams like Eminem, usually when they're on form at least in London, who love cross maps. So we'll see what they can find. You can see already they're slipping into the bottom side jungle. Bulldog kind of trapped underneath this tier 1, and not a whole bunch of vision for them to work with. They got to check into fog. Only that one pixel brush ward. They are going to find and defend this Gromp. Not going to lose out on too much at the end of the day. And that was a full tower going over to Lulis and Jacob. Yeah. Bulldog can feel really happy about that. They're sitting a little bit under 2,000 gold ahead of Resolve right now. And again, I feel like it is Bulldog with the slightly better scaling team composition. It's definitely a more cohesive unit, in my opinion, in comparison to what Resolve have. But again, Resolve a team who understands how to play the map, who understands win conditions, will fight on power spikes and iron spikes as well. Once those things roll around, that's when I want to have my eyes a little more plastered onto what exactly Resolve are doing. For now, I want to see exactly how Bulldog are going to be proactive on the map, because again, they've got, you know, these globals in the Rise Ultimate. You know, one can be casted 2 screens away. I want to see them try and make some long-range plays onto members on the side lane in Resolve, like Kenruo, for example, who pushing up right here. This is a Realm Warp play, like, pretty easily. Stuff like this, I mean, Kenruo should just die. Yeah.
Realm Warp goes through, and I don't think Nah has many options to escape, and it's going to be the Ornn that's the only person to meet him on that running angle. Nah trying to get as angry as possible, maybe looking for the ultimate, but won't get big before going down. Simple as that for Bulldog. They take the kill lead and move back towards the mid lane.
Yeah, this is exactly what Bulldog needs to do. You know, in between waves, go over side lanes, pick on people. Oh, Graviton missed out. But you can see, Bulldog, I like this. Just the fact that they're throwing that out, it shows to me that right now, mentally, they're looking for plays. That's exactly what they need to be doing, in my opinion. Accelerate this gold lead. Right now, Resolve don't really have much of a means of answering some of these abilities. Coat, this isn't your side of the map, and you're about to get free man though. Let's see how it goes.
Goes on the tower, Otter's there, Regan's there, teleport coming through. The ultimate will knock up the Diana, but Coco will be able to back away. But Thomas Go gets the root, gets the stun, gets the damage. Nice knock into the wall. But everyone's still alive from Resolve Academy. They're looking to take the blast cone over. Will be able to do so. Death Sentence not landing. And the dive doesn't go the way that Resolve Academy would have liked, but crucially, they don't lose any members either.
Yeah, they don't lose any members. Great response from Bulldog as well with that teleport. You manage to walk out of that one. And I mean, still, Resolve, like we said, a team that will try and cross map. They understand strong side, weak side. They are one of the better proactive teams. Right now, they need to do their best to try and trade blow for blow. But again, it's just Bulldog. I feel like they've got the better tools right now. Showing they're willing to use them. Realm Warp coming off cooldown pretty soon. Jacob's ultimate as well. Not that far off, but needs to cycle through the weapons to get Graviton realistically to set up play. But once they're up, Ornn ultimate as well, once these tools are up, I want to see Bulldog try and get aggressive onto any member they see that's actually out on the map.
But Bulldog, it's interesting that you talk. We've been talking about Bulldog as the more proactive team right now, and the team that we like to see trying to force through these plays. As they're also the ones that we've talked about being the team that probably scales into the late game better, and probably has a better time of it if this game does go 30 minutes plus, which is magical that the late game. But here we are, 11 point anything. Really. I
mean, I feel like in this meta, anything that's past like 27, 28 minutes is late game. Even like some people consider like 25. Post 25 late game.
It's wild that that's well. Have you noticed on live that we've got the changes to death timers? Have you clocked this?
There was
well, the thing is, I don't know if this is something that's been advertised. Oh yeah, he missed the cannon, but we don't talk about Observer. No, Observer. No, no. We don't do that here.
He's Raphael's ability.
Thomas, come on. He's been having a good game. Leave him alone. But no, I died at level 1 invade, and I had like a 22-second death timer. That ain't right. And like, I died in there was like a team fight 23 minutes in. Whole team got wiped. We all had 45 plus death timers. I don't know if this is something that's been publicized or if this is me being wildly inaccurate, but it feels like everyone's dead for a lot longer, and that's going to speed up games. And Regan might be about to be set on one of these death timers. Not a super long one though, as he does go down to Thomas Go. Lulus could look for the re-engage, has Nautilus available, misses the hook though. Actually, this time around, Wolf the Scout will not though, cuts down Lee Sin for the killing spree. Again, in the hands of Lulus, Lee Sin gonna move towards this Dragon third on the map, and it's the Infernal this time around, which, unlike the Ocean Soul we saw last game, much more useful.
Yes, universally useful. And the damage champions in this game, such great appliers of this Infernal Soul, actually. Machine Gun Rise, Aphelios for the attack speed, and also Lulus. Because of the way the passive works, I assume the double auto attacks actually work towards the Soul Rock faster. That'll be my baseline assumption. If it works on things like Brawn passive,
see, this is the thing, right? I knew this was going to be the replay. I knew we were going to start with that.
Bad. Our replay guy. But yeah, Regan caught over the wall by the hook. The first hook from Lulus misses, but the second one from the Scout does not. And that means that Otter does drop in the end, at least in Siphon. There's Herald, drops in the mid lane, going to open up the map here for Resolve a little bit. But the gold lead, still 3,000 ahead for Bulldog. As oh no, it's a pause, guys, I'm afraid.
It's Stop Us Go, being like, yo, I feel attacked personally. I'm having a good game. I'm 30 farm up on my lane opponent. So what if I miss a cannon? And I agree, Thomas. I think you've been playing pretty well this game. A player that I've been quite critical of throughout the season so far. And I feel like justifiably so. But again, this game, Bulldog, you can see that the players have skill and they're taking the fight to Resolve Academy every single time they have the opportunity to. And more often than not, they're the ones walking away with the team fight win. And more often than not, that has led into an objective.
Definitely. We're going to have to see if it continues to be the case, I think, realistically. Because right now, Bulldog set up for more success around sort of objective and fight. And the emphasis is going to have to be on Resolve to find good angles. In my opinion, try and find pockets of fog for Art to, wall up over a wall, get a nice kick onto one of the key carries in Thomas or Jacob, or, Bakako finds a great entrance for, a really nice Moonfall. Try and follow it up with some of these AoE abilities that you do have. True Shot Barrage, Narum, of course, the major one. Got to lock down multiple members. Otherwise, outside of just sort of playing the map better or doing your best to when you're down 3,000 gold, not sure how Resolve are going to find a way back into this one. Looking more and more like it's going to have to be unforced error from Bulldog, or just really, really superb map play from Resolve, which, in all fairness, we've seen from them. So
we've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to see exactly when Resolve will decide to be a little more proactive. They're starting to have the item spikes roll in. I think once Diana has that Zhonya's fully finished up, Muramana finished up from IQ, then it's potentially the signal of go time for Resolve to try and start to make some plays.
For Bulldog, it's been go time pretty much the entire game. They're the ones who've been throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what has worked, and they've made a lot of things work. And they've got this late game composition. They've got the Ornn has picked up his ornament, hasn't been able to dish those ones out to the rest of his team just yet, but time will come shortly. He'll be able to do so. You've got the Aphelios and Rise. We're going to be able to put out so much damage in the later stages. And as you say, Resolve, I think they might struggle to deal with this. I think a lot is on Diana. Bakako in the jungle has to have a strong performance to catch out these slightly less mobile carries. Because if they're allowed to start dishing out damage, it's going to be curtains for Resolve Academy.
Yeah, definitely. Like Jacob on his way to that Runans. Tomasko already has 2 items. Lulus already has 2 items as well. I mean, Coates also has the Athena's Chains, really cheap second item. In general, his item build, pretty cheap. 2,800, 2,000. I believe Athena's Chains are 2,600. 1,600. So, pretty cheap power spike for the Ornn. Just waiting on Jacob to hit that 2 item mark, and then Bulldog will probably be willing to take fights anywhere and everywhere.
Losing the top side of the jungle, potentially? Lulus looking for it?
Yeah, Lulus definitely looking for it. But I mean, again, Resolve, same thing. Looking. Oh, he's basically.
Oh, that's not where you want to go back. And he's going to be sent back to base in a body bag as he is taken down. Otter secures the kill. The unforced error that Resolve Academy were looking for. Could that have been it?
I don't know if it's necessarily an error. Just like, Resolver in the area, you have to maybe expect this warded, but it's a pretty harsh death for certain. But I mean, Resolve pounce on it immediately. See the flash over from Regan. They don't even give poor Lulus the opportunity to see everybody come over the wall on the blast cone. Goes for the flash hook. Lulus CC'd in duration, almost makes out. That is an adorable base animation.
It's that little, I don't know what it's called, the little line thing, causing all kinds of mischief in that cinematic. Almost got Annie fired from her job. She needs the money. Come on. Outrageous. But have you seen that animation? You watched the... I can't remember what the skin line's called. I don't really like the skin line, but the animation was good. The little line running rampant, stealing things.
No, actually.
Very wholesome. I recommend you go back and watch it. It was a very wholesome skin advert.
Okay.
Which is rare, you know. League of Legends, a lot of the narrative, a lot of the skin adverts and stuff have been pretty edgy.
Yeah.
Pretty serious. So it's a good one seeing like Annie almost lose her job and Alistair being like a very disappointed uncle situation. It was very good. But let's move back into this game a little bit. Because Resolve Academy moved back into this game a little bit in terms of gold, and the team fight HUD is up, which means that there's going to be a dive onto Lulus. A lot of damage coming through, but Viego standing firm, at least for the time being. Nice knock up onto Dana, who's going to be taken away from the fight, but dives directly back in. Lulus will be cut down by the ultimate on the side. Resolve Academy made a pick onto the Aphelios as well. Hung up to dry as the tanks take him down. Nice stun coming in onto Coates, who will be dragged back in and removed as well. The death sentence is not one for Otter as he's able to walk away, and this is the thing. This is the why is Aphelios on his own situation, because now the Dragon goes over to Resolve Academy and the gold swings in their favor as well.
Yeah, the gold lead just about evened out, like you say, a little bit edged over to Resolve, and I mean, it's just Bulldog not being in uniform with each other. Like, you have to be on top of each other in this competition. Yes, Lulus is kind of out on the side, and that's okay, but the rest of the team has to be with each other. Lulus, you know, if he wants to step up aggressively, you kind of understand because he's got the mist, checked into where a pink ward was, where unfortunately Bakako and Otto were lying in wait, but could have had the lantern there and almost did. But then the question stands to, why was Jacob alone in the mid lane? Get a replay of it. Well, the scout, plus Coates, walks in, and it's just the zoning and the pathing in general, which just allows for Kenruro to sort of step forward. He doesn't even blow the flash to get that Nara on off.
Bullying from the tanks on the side, and yeah, they'll be able to clean up and grab themselves an extra kill on the back of that fight as well. But we talked about unforced errors.
Yeah.
From Bulldog being the way that Resolve Academy get back into this game. They've found their way back into the game gold-wise. Yes, there's a couple of ornaments that are swinging things technically in the favor of Bulldog at this point anyway, but one more like that from Bulldog that could spell Baron, that could spell a lot of towers, and we don't want to see them falter when they were so close to really forcing through another upset.
Yeah, I mean, it's apparently it's the week of upsets, so we we want to see Bulldog win in that sense, and of course it makes things more exciting in the standings.
For sure.
But credit to Resolve right now for finding their way back in. It's not like we ruled them out. Almost expected that they would at least have one opportunity. One opportunity they've had, one opportunity they've taken, scoring them pretty much dead even in this game now. And expected when we spoke about that item power spikes, right? Muramana's online for Maiku Bakako. Got the Zhonya's like pro belt, so ready for those team fights and skirmishes. Yeah, I was about to say Tomasko looking for this play, but I don't know if they'll be able to find it.
Can they pop the blast cone? Gets a lot of damage in CC. Tomasko doesn't let Nam move at all. And he's gonna collapse, but that's a big pick.
Yeah, power of the Athena's chains right there. I'm assuming that Coates has it bound onto Kenruro. I'm actually not entirely sure. But even with Merc Treads, just wasn't able to move. It's just, yeah, it's pretty obnoxious. And now actually Bulldog beelining over to the Baron. I don't know if Resolve can do much about this outside of a massive wombo combo, because this thing's going to get burnt through so damn quick. If we could zoom out a little more, because that Baron's got to be at like 4k. Yeah, 5k.
5k, 4k. Look at the damage going down so much. Will the Scouts get their sense of the fight? Will kick off, but the Baron is below 1k. They're just going to try and finish it off. They will be able to do so. Now Bulldog turn to the fight, but Bakoko gets a massive ultimate down. He will fall on the back end of it, but Otter has to go gold, and Regan is collapsed. And Meku trying to stay alive, dancing, dipping, getting poked down. The teleport coming in through as Nar will move forward. Lulus gets collapsed and killed. but Thomas Go and Coates will be able to get away. 2 members with Baron, and Kenruto needs to be a little bit careful. Caught out by Thomas Go on the side. He tries to hop away. Will he be able to do so? Thomas Go wants to grab a kill for himself. Coates is there as well, but look at the side. Otter's moving in, trying to get to the assassination, and will be able to do so onto Coates after one more auto attack as Thomas Go decides it was a little bit of an overextension. He's going to run away. He's the only one with Baron, and where is my team?
Yeah, I've got to say, though, a little bit strange that Bulldog didn't commit once Lulu started to cycle through those resets, because I feel like they could have won that fight, especially with how strong Thomas Go is. Hopefully you get a replay, just so I can kind of highlight when exactly I feel like they should have kept going. But they retreat with, I think, just 1 Baron. I think only 1 Baron came out, and that was Thomas Go. Resolve not going to be able to make anything more of that. And it still just resets the map. With only 1 member having Baron buff, it shouldn't realistically turn into a major siege anywhere. But certainly, Bulldog can try their best to make one happen. I think once this dragon goes off the map, I have to kind of wait for... Yeah, don't worry about that. That's an ahead of time thing. Oh, it hasn't DC'd. But yeah, replay. So Bulldog, they're inside the pit. They commit to it. Unfortunately, Jacob steps up a little bit too far forward, gets knocked up and dies. But you see, Diana dies right here. Resets come through. Thomas Go, he's not really at much threat. They also kill off the Nautilus. And at this point, for Thomas to just walk forward with Lulu, I don't know. I feel like they could kill her. They could keep the resets going. They could certainly win that fight, if I'm honest with you. But decide to step away. Maybe Coates being low dissuaded them from wanting to go any further. And being baited into almost kill Kenruro means Coates gets caught by the RLD Syncue. Drops on the back end of the play. Now only 1 member has this Baron buff. And both these teams want to fight for this dragon. Neither team wants to give it up right now. Regan's looking for a flank angle on that Hex Splash. Will he find one? Gravo Molma comes out.
Big ult onto 2. It's the Gnar and the Ezreal gets hooked in by Will the Scout. Meku is down as the damage will be coming through. Jacob needs to be a little bit careful. Kites away, but gets deleted by Otto, who's still in the backline. He'll be cut down too. It's back and forth. Currently Bulldog on 4, Resolve on 3, as the dragon should be scored. Nice Desert is coming through. Goes golden to avoid damage from Lulis, but he's still in the backline. And Diana gets removed from the game. The Infernal Dragon starts to reset, but it's not going to be able to get back to the pit before it's taken down. Bulldog secure the objective and the fight as well.
It's so hard to fight into this team composition of Bulldog, where they've got so much damage, burst damage and CC as well, where effectively you get sort of locked up by one thing. You die, and then you give your form over to Lulis. And there are so many strong champions on the Resolve side of things, because this game is so even. Honestly, anybody that Lulis possesses is a good target. And in this case, it ends up being Maiku, probably, you know, the most fed member on this Resolve team. And he comes back into his own backline. Yes, Jacob does die, but he kills Otter himself. Or rather, Thomas Go gets the kill credit. Will the Scout finds this really nice death sentence, actually predicts the backstep onto Bakako. It means that he also gets locked up, and they secure the dragon. Just bar of heads really in the river. Nothing much more to analyze than that.
Get Dragon Soul in 5 minutes time. It will be Bulldog the ones who will be trying to grab that buff for themselves. But gotta say, Will the Scout wasn't impressed with the lane phase hooks, so the early ones when we were seeing them thrown. But in these last few team fights, they've been exceptionally clean. Gotta give it up.
Yeah, definitely so. And for me, it's about how he plays these team fights from here on out, in terms of, you know, keeping Thomas Go and Jacob safe. With the Lantern, finding hooks where necessary onto key targets in that fight. Obviously flashed forward, found Maiku. Yes, Jacob does die, but Maiku had a 1,000 gold shutdown. So I think you're okay taking that 1-for-1. Especially when you then give yourself that Ezreal because of the soul possession.
The gold on the bottom of your screen. It's been back and forth. Bulldog, the only ones to have major leads, have thrown away this kind of gold lead before in this game, though. We'll have to see if this is the one that they manage to stick, or if it will be one throw too many. That being said, Resolve Academy, what are they having to do to get back into this game? Because right now they're trying to potentially take fights, but we've seen how that ends, and it's not grateful.
Yeah, the thing, you know, normally in a game like this, I'll say target selection, right? That's the key thing, who they're catching in these wombo combos of the move forward into, you know, more CC. But the issue is you've got 3 members, and there's, you know, a pro to obviously killing them, but then there's the con of the others being alive, and in particular Lulis. Like, if you don't kill Lulis, he's likely to get a reset on the attempt, and then from there, the fights just get much harder. if you go for Thomas Go, well, then Jacob is still a Felios at 2 items, who, you know, he's going to kill loads of DPS. And it's the same thing. You kill Jacob, well, now you've got this 3.5, almost 4 item Rise kind of just firing overloads at you. And again, Lula's likely to get a reset. So it's really tough for Resolve to win head-on 5v5s at the moment for me. I'm not exactly sure whether they can outright win 5v5s without the misexecution of Bulldog inside of those fights at a mechanical level, or they just find, I mean, again, even if they find a good target, it's just tough. So I think from here on, we might see Resolve try and avoid straight 5v5s as Regan has to flash over the wall. And I mean, for Bulldog, any opportunity to force it, if I'm then, I would take it. Mike, you could get hooked.
Oh, that's a huge hook coming through from Will the Scout. Another game-winning play, potentially, as they pick up the most important member. Baron on the back of it. Resolve Academy had a decent time fighting over this one last time, but they'll have to do so without Ezreal.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, without Ezreal, without Mike, I don't think they will. I think they might just give this one up, try and do their best to take whatever resources they can off the map, because I know for a fact I wouldn't feel like fighting into what is a death cap Rise right now. Plus an Aphelios with 3 items in front of the pit. Just wouldn't be happening. So Resolve, make the right call, I think, to back away. Gonna secure a little bit of resources on the bottom side, but man, getting absolutely mopped right now. Another Baron in the back pocket of Bulldog, and this time they've got all of the buffs. It's not just Thomas Go with the Baron buff anymore, it's all of them. And it's gonna more than eclipse this Dragon spawner. Not entirely sure what Resolve could do about this. They might, honestly, if they fight for this soul and lose, it might just be the game, because from there on, Bulldog with a soul, I don't know how Resolve will stand up to that scaling.
Yeah, they're struggling in team fights, and with the triple Infernal Soul coming through onto Bulldog, it's going to be very, very difficult to win any engagements. You can see the ultimate coming on through. Who can they catch? It's just Regan, but that could be enough, honestly. Lots of knockups coming on down from both teams, but it will be the Nautilus who goes swimming with the fishes. Will looking forward, trying to get another death sentence. Won't be able to find it this time around. Nash is going to be called up. Decent Nara ultimate stuns on to 3, and there's the Diana coming through from Makoko as well. Members good gold, and no one's got down just yet, but watch Jacob. He's getting the resets, and Bulldog turn the fight around. They move off towards the Dragon. Resolve Academy with 3 members probably won't be able to contest, but goodness me, that fight was all CC all the time.
Yeah, it's so scary from Bulldog's point of view as well. But at the end of the day, no meaningful member actually dies outside of Will. So honestly, from this point on, with this soul in the back pocket of Bulldog, where do Resolve actually look to attack? Where can they actually find ins? Because this was one of the better case scenario fights for me. Even though Regan, yes, dies at the start, see all the CC he's able to put down. It doesn't amount to much, but it's the sort of re-engaged turn, which is the big thing here. Will the Scout looks forward for the flash. Nah, 2 members into the wall. But, you know, you can see Thomas Go and Jacob at the back still able to deal a lot of AoE damage, and then not being focused down to lethal ranges, unfortunately. And that's just the drawbacks, right? We spoke about it before this fight. You go for one of the carries, then you've still got 2 more to deal with who are dealing absolutely absurd amounts of damage. If you don't go for Lulus, then he gets a free soul reset.
I swear I'm not bad at predictions, guys. I swear. But Bulldog about to make me look, well, on course to make me look very stupid. I won't say about to, because of course, Resolve Academy, very good players, could look to get a turnaround, but 6k gold lead, Infernal Soul, Baron buff for the next few seconds. I don't know how they're going to be able to defend. Bulldog looking towards this tower, want to try and take it down as much as possible, but there's still a decent amount of wave here, right? There's still the ability for Resolve to clear out these minions, and as long as they don't overextend, they should be fine to defend for until the Baron buff falls off.
Yeah, stepping up into a Mega Gnar Diana as well. Too risky. Bulldog, I think, doing the right thing. Just backing up a bit. Making sure they don't give over any silly kills. I don't think Resolve would necessarily be able to end off the back of it, but still, don't want to be removed off the map or shut down on the Bulldog name tags right now. Namely, Thomas Go with that 700 gold shutdown. Finding that could be huge when it comes to finding an iron completion for some of these members here. Resolve, I mean, it's kind of just about the waiting game and how they can respond to whatever Bulldog throw at them. But the mountain is so steep for them to climb. The longer this game goes on, the more it feels like an inevitability that Bulldog will win, but at this point, from this game state, I mean, hell, I'll just say it bluntly. It would almost be an upset if Resolve won from this point. I feel like Bulldog genuinely have that much control in the game right now.
Well, they've got the better scaling composition. They've got themselves the Gold League. They've got the Infernal Soul. I don't really know what else you need to win the game usually.
Yeah.
I've certainly lost games from this position before, though, so it can happen.
It can.
It's unlikely.
It's unlikely, but it can. We'll have to see. As Resolve, well, it's a waiting game between these mega buffs, right? Baron spawns in 90 seconds, and the Elder Dragon will spawn in 3 minutes. What are Bulldog gonna do during this time? Are we just gonna see them clear out waves? Are we gonna see a fight break out?
Guess there
a question.
There's 2 members of Resolve Academy in the bot side. Coat's going to pull the trigger. Nanja's to land the knockout onto Meiku. He's going to be stunned up. So much damage coming through. He's gone. Is that a pick that ends the game? We'll have to wait and see. Members are coming back from Resolve Academy. It'll be a 4v5. The inhibitor is certainly going to go down. Can they pressure on for more? It's a decently sized minion wave. But Otto's on the back looking for a kick. Looking for a pick. Will the scout misses? The flash hook, but the damage coming through is massive from Thomas. That's going to be the kill on a Tuba Coco. No more Diana for this team composition. Bulldog looking to chase away onto Otto. That's going to be the round walk, taking a couple of members through as Otto looks to take them on a dance away from the base. Could well get caught out, but they're not that interested, honestly. Bulldog will not be dissuaded from trying to take down the base turn and give him 1 blast of arcane damage to the face, taking him down. Nice auto back from the Gnar, but it doesn't matter at this point. They've got the minions, they've got the damage, they're going to take down these Nexus towers, and Bulldog continue the week of upsets by securing the win over Resolve Academy.
Yeah, Bulldog coming out strong here, I think, from the get-go with the draft, putting Resolve in a position where, realistically, I look at them and I say, all right, Resolve Academy, what are you going to do about this? You're the ones that have to be proactive here, because realistically, it was Bulldog with better proactivity tools in the early game and stronger scaling, and even a stronger mid game, to be honest with you. Stronger 2-item spikes for me. And moving forward from that point, once Bulldog didn't fall behind, there just didn't feel like a reasonable way that Resolve would come back into it, unless Bulldog misexecuted on multiple fronts, which they did back to back. It almost did cost them, and cost them dearly, but at the end of the day, they may have lost out in some of those fights, but they never lost anything major for it. They never lost, base towers, they never lost inhibitors, and that was the key difference there. And Bulldog, I think rightfully so, taking this win, because Resolve, for me, draft not too convincing. I think, you can't necessarily always be mega disrespectful every time. Maybe just a bit of a misstep. But yeah, the week of upsets seems to continue.
Goodness me, it was definitely deserved from Bulldog. The entire game, the way they played, yes, they threw away a couple of gold leads. You can see it from when we saw the gold graphs throughout that game. There were dips and troughs where you could see Resolve made a pick or Bulldog made a mistake and they managed to come back into it. But we're going to be jumping over to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Lulas, who will be talking to us about that big Bulldog win. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.